So I would like to welcome everybody back to another episode of the Raider Critique, where this is the post-game review for Week 9, the Oakland Raiders versus the San Francisco 49ers. A lot of people are expecting me to rant and rave. I'm pretty sure every one of you are expecting me just to fly off the handle, start wrecking shit in my little room studio here, and give you guys a show of what it's like to absolutely hate, to express the hate of what you're seeing out of your football team. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm done being mad. But just like I said in my last video, if we were to get beat by the San Francisco 49ers, and just beat, that we had major problems that we had to really look at and tend to. We were playing a practice squad counter slash third string quarterback, if not a fourth string quarterback. I expected us to play a lot better than the way we played. All the way around, this team, from the jump, it was almost like they didn't show up to play. Kind of like how they showed up in London. As a matter of fact, it was basically the same score. Pretty damn close. And well, the season is over. I don't expect to see another win out of this football team. It's disheartening to watch this team fall apart right in front of our eyes. After all the promises that were made to the Raider Nation, and how it was a big effing deal to bring back John Gruden. Yeah, it's a big effing deal, all right. It's a huge effing deal. We went from a 7-9 football club, 1 year separated, to being the new age Cleveland Browns. Our coaching staff obviously is not seeing on the same page with one another. The free agents and all the veteran acquisitions that they've brought in have not worked out. Some of them have already been cut and let go. Certain players have been traded that basically was the nucleus of the 2016 Raiders, which is obviously not what we are. We are a mirror image of our former selves. We definitely don't look like the team that we were back in 2016. As much as everybody talks about how we're rebuilding, was it time to rebuild? Last time I checked, this was supposed to be, one of the reasons why we did this was to win a championship in Oakland. Now, we're possibly not even going to be playing in Oakland next season. They haven't even figured out what they're going to be, where the Raiders are going to be playing next season. And this year is a total wash. It's a complete wash. This season, and a lot of you Raider fans will sit there and say, oh, I've been around for a while. I saw that 2-14 year. It was bad then. I can make it through it now. Okay, look, that 2-14 season that we had back in, I believe it was 2007, we had a better defense. We might have had Jamarcus Russell at quarterback, basically giving the ball away every other down. But we had a good defense. This defense is absolutely just a real big poop emoji. That's what this defense is. This defense has no chemistry. And this defensive coordinator, I don't know on whether his play calling is too difficult for the players to grasp, if his scheme is too difficult for the players to grasp, or his scheme just sucks. But his scheme doesn't produce any pass rush. We're not stopping the run at all because we're giving up over 100 yards a game every time we play somebody. If you want to break records against a football team, well, I bet they're hoping that the Raiders are on the schedule and are ahead next. Because that's what it seems like is happening to this football team every time we take the field. So how about we hop into the intro, we look over the stats of this debacle of a football game that we went over this week, and then let's possibly discuss a few questions that have risen up through the Raider Nation and all the way throughout mainstream media and all the way throughout the football world on what possibly should be done with this football team. And where is our next step going from here? Now, I do want to thank all the new subscribers and all the old subscribers for tuning in. Without you, I would not be doing this. And I greatly appreciate every single one of you. Greatly. And I'm so glad that you guys have tuned in here to take part in this post-game review. Now, I did want to wait at least a day or two to kind of calm down because, you know, as much as reaction videos get, as in views-wise, you know, it's really just acted off of impulse, so it's not really exactly how I feel. It's just how I happen to feel at that moment in time. So I really like to get my thoughts, and at least as much as I can, just get my thoughts and my stats collected together to where I can give you guys an honest post-game review. So anyway, let's go ahead and hit the intro, man, and let's get this episode started. So I know everybody does a stat line, and I can be no different when it comes to that because stats need to be looked over. You guys aren't going to see my wonderful face on this because obviously we're going to need it to look at the stats. Derek Carr went 16 of 21 for 171 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And yes, we got to see A.J. McCarron for the first time this season. He went 1 for 3 for 8 yards. To be honest with you, I think I could have gone without seeing A.J. McCarron because he honestly did not look comfortable in the offense. Rushing, Doug Martin had 11 carries for 49 yards, averaging 4.5 yards per carry. DeAndre Washington, the first time we've seen him since his injury, and honestly the first time we've seen him since preseason, he had 5 carries for 27 yards, 5.4 yard average. Martavis Bryant had a beautiful jet sweep. Rush for 17 yards. Derek Carr was running for his life this game. 3 carries for 5 yards, averaging 1.7 yards a carry. Jalen Richard had 2 carries for 4 yards, averaging 2 yards a carry. And then A.J. McCarron, I believe he just kind of fell down. And he didn't really do anything. I think it was one carry for 0 yards. What can I say? That offensive line played like crap and didn't matter what quarterback we had back there. Even Joe Montana couldn't have done anything. Jalen Richard was our leading receiver. Now let that resonate. Our running back was our leading receiver. 4 receptions for 45 yards. He was targeted 4 times. Martavis Bryant again did not show up. 2 receptions for 29 yards, although he was only targeted twice. But then again, you're only going to be targeted twice when you don't get open. Jared Cook. They isolated the middle of the field, obviously, on us, and Jared Cook only got 2 receptions for 20 yards. He was targeted twice. Brandon LaFell, 3 receptions for 20 yards. It's actually the first time I've mentioned his name in the stat lines. He was targeted 3 times. Doug Martin, 1 for 20 yards. It was a screen pass. Looked like we were doing checkdowns all game long. He was targeted twice. Jordy Nelson, 2 receptions for 16 yards. Again, non-existent, not showing up. He was targeted 3 times. Dwayne Harris, 1 for 13 yards. He was targeted once. Derek Carrier, 1 for 8. And he was targeted twice. Seth Roberts, 1 for 8 as well, targeted twice. We had 2 fumbles by our quarterbacks. Luckily, they didn't lose them. And then, of course, we didn't have a single solitary interception. Darrell Worley had 2 pass deflections. Now, I was noticing this in the stats. And I notice it every single time. When you come over here and you look at defense, if your top 5 is rounded out by 3/4 of them being defensive backs, that's a problem. That is an absolute huge problem. That means nobody's making the tackles until the ball is being moved to the second level. Tahir Whitehead had 6 tackles, 1 assist. 4 of those tackles were a tackle for a loss, so he actually had 4 of those tackles in the backfield. And then, of course, to round out the top 5, you've got Reggie Nelson, Clinton McDonald, Eric Harris, and Darrell Worley, all defensive backs. Okay, that's a very huge issue when your first 5 guys are linebackers and defensive backs. That means that we are getting our tackles in the second level. You can't win games that way. You cannot win games that way. You got P.J. Hall, Maurice Hurst, and Frosty Rutger. 3 tackles, and 2 tackles. P.J. Hall looked like he actually had a sack or a tackle for a loss, which I don't think we had any sacks this game. I don't remember getting that third string quarterback on his back at all. As a matter of fact, I remember him treating us like redheaded stepchildren. Or, if you want a different terminology, using us like toilet paper. I mean, there's really nothing to go over. This game was absolutely terrible stat-wise. We can go over here and we can look at San Francisco and we can look at how much they ate us up. If we really want to. I mean, the thing that gets me right here is Nick Mullins. Nobody ever heard of this guy before, but he came in here and he torched the hell out of the Raiders. 262 yards with 3 touchdowns. Didn't even get a single solitary interception on this guy. And then, of course, their running backs had a heyday. Maybe not as much as the running backs from last week did, but Raheem Mostert, 7 carries for 86 yards, 1 touchdown. His average was 12.3. I think that says enough right there. And then, of course, you can go down here to the receiving, and their tight end. Of course, we're leaving the middle of the field open. 4 receptions for 108 yards, 1 touchdown. He was targeted 4 times. Richie James, 2 for 60. He was targeted 3 times. Pierre Garcon, 3 for 56. Pierre Garcon whipped our ass. Straight up. 3 for 56, man. He was targeted 5 times. He made 3 receptions for 56 yards and a touchdown. Marquise Goodwin, he had 1 reception for 11 yards. He was targeted 4 times. I mean, you look at this right here, and you see why we lost the game. But then again, if you weren't watching the game and you have no idea why we lost, come over here to the team stats. Holy shit, look, NFL.com's actually on point and they have the team stats up. Who fucking knew NFL was going to be on point with this game? Total yards for the Raiders was 242 compared to San Francisco's 405. Our passing yards was 140 compared to their 262 yards. Rushing yards, 102 yards compared to their 143. Here's the big kicker right here, because if those aren't huge enough gaps for you, this should be. Average yards per play, Oakland 4.4, San Francisco 7.5. Then, of course, the score differential, 34-3. San Francisco did not allow a single sack, and we allowed 8 sacks. 8 sacks. I don't see how any quarterback can perform under that type of pressure. Third down efficiency, 25% to their 41%. And we, of course, barely won time of possession by about 3 minutes. You know, we were running the ball in the fourth quarter. I don't get our play calling scheme whatsoever. And I mean, if we go over here and look on the side, if you guys have been keeping up with our drive summary, our first drive ended in a field goal. They turned around, went 6 plays down the field for 75 yards and a touchdown on a wide open pass to Pierre Garçon. Our second possession, 3 plays, we were 3 and out, had to punt. Their second possession, 13 plays for 66 yards, ending up in another touchdown, taking 7 minutes and 24 seconds off of the clock. Our third possession, 8 plays. Hey, we're doing a little bit better this time. What happened? Punt. Okay? Their third possession, they actually went out 4 plays and had to punt. Our fifth possession, punt. 7 plays and we punted. Now, you see, this is all that dink and dunk bullshit we were doing. All this dink and dunk bullshit, we made it 7 plays and still had to punt. We probably made it about 13 or 14 yards up the damn field. It says we made it 38. But, you know, I mean, with all this dink and dunk and all this bullshit passing, we're lucky to get 30 yards in a drive. And San Francisco, again, kicked another field goal on us. They went 7 plays for 64 yards. Minute 38 total time, ending in a field goal. You know, they were putting up points while we were doing absolutely nothing. They come into the second half and score another touchdown. What did we do? We punted. Then they come in and score another touchdown. I mean, by this time, man, the game's over. We already know it. The team already knows it. The team's given up. And they punt again. Then we force San Francisco to punt after 5 plays. They only go 31 yards this time, luckily for us. Well, how do we fucking respond with that? Well, we miss a field goal. And that sound was absolutely terrible, that treacherous sound off of the goalpost that it made. It basically sums up our football season. I mean, I don't even know how to go over any more of this game, but just to show everybody that we lost in every aspect of this game. We were dominated, used and abused, and basically taken out like yesterday's garbage. The San Francisco 49ers literally took the Raiders out to the dumpster and threw them in the dumpster with the rest of the garbage. So here you have it. The San Francisco 49ers straight up take the Raiders to school and dominate them 34-3 and basically took us out like the restaurant trash. Now, whether you agree with me or not, we got our asses handed to us by a third-string quarterback. Our quarterback did not show up to play. Our offensive line did not show up to play, which was 3/4 of the reason why our quarterback couldn't do anything. Our wide receivers were not getting separation besides Brandon LaFell. And obviously the defense did their homework against our lackluster play calling offense. We literally gave up at the end of the second quarter. As far as I was concerned, when we were down 17-3, the game was over. You could see that this team checked out? And that's honestly my next question, because we were dominated 34-3 by one of the worst teams in the NFL. This makes us the absolute worst, right next to the New York Giants as being the worst team in the National Football League. 2 years separated from playoff and Super Bowl hopes. 2 years, and we are now back at the bottom of the barrel. You can't make this shit up. We look at all the changes that have happened. We look at everything that has been done, and we wonder why we are 1-7. We wonder why we're 1-7, so we have to start asking questions. We got to start asking, well, why are we doing this? A lot of people think it's the coach. A lot of people think that this guy has come in here being 10 years separated from being an NFL football coach. Basically playing Madden with our football team, getting rid of all of our high draft picks, all of our good profile players, and scoring number 1 overall draft picks with them. Now, everybody knows my opinion. I'm actually still in the middle of all this, but I can be honest with you. I think that we would have been better under Jack Del Rio and his coaching regime. I think that the trigger was pulled too soon. And I believe that Mark reached a little bit too much to get to get John. I mean, let's be real about it. I mean, to an honest standpoint, Jack Del Rio, even with as much money as he spent and how he couldn't get the players to perform for him last year, should have been given a little bit more time, at least in my opinion. Because we really reached for this guy who it was an ESPN Monday Night Football analysis for 10 years. And let's not forget about how great of a coach he was before he was an ESPN analysis. And I'll be honest with you, in Tampa Bay, there toward the latter end of his career, he wasn't that good. And then other questions arise, as in, has the Raiders roster checked out from Chucky? Well, obviously, taking a team 2 years separated from a 12-4 season with Super Bowl aspirations and making them 1-7, it wouldn't surprise me if he's already lost the locker room. But that's not going to matter in the long run, because all he's going to do is replace the players who have checked out with people who want to play for him. And I don't know how many people in the NFL really want to play for this coach. Now, he has claimed that there's quite a few people wanting to come play for the Raiders. But with as many lies as he's already told us, how can I believe that? How can I believe that anybody of any stature as an NFL football player has called this coach and told him that, yes, Mr. Gruden, I want to play for the Raiders because of you, because of what I know that what you're trying to build? If you're not talking about a 50-year-old Jerry Rice, then I don't know who you're talking about. So that also comes to another question, too. Do we move on from this coaching staff? We're 1-7 after a loss to the San Francisco 49ers with the score of 34-3. These are questions that are being asked. These are questions that I'm definitely asking myself. These are questions that I'm actually asking around, because you guys have seen me in the press conferences, in all the Raider podcasters' chat rooms, asking these same questions. I don't know what we're going to do. I know what we need to do, but I know we're not going to do it. And a lot of you apologizers out there who have been drinking the John Gruden Kool-Aid and the Mark Davis Kool-Aid, you guys don't see it either. John Gruden was brought in here as a big money move to have a celebrity style coach who has been on TV, a personality that everybody likes, to head his football team going into Las Vegas. They don't give a fuck about Oakland. And hence it shows in our record. Just let that resonate with every single one of you. Because it's what I've been talking about this whole time. And being subtle about it, about how Al Davis is rolling over in his grave with the way that this organization is being ran. This is all on the front office for bringing in this coaching regime, for tanking our football season, for getting rid of our good players, for giving more people money that shouldn't have been given money when people like Khalil Mack should have been taken care of, Amari Cooper should have been taken care of, instead of bringing people in like Cordell Patterson, throwing away a bunch of money, giving away a bunch of contract extensions and extra bonuses. This has to do with the front office. We are stuck with this coaching regime unless John Gruden decides to move on from Paul Gunther, who he absolutely needs to, and Greg Olson, who I have been rallying for to ship his ass out of here because I believe he's bad luck. We're going to have to trust in the process. There is no choice about it. But a lot of the people who are running around going, oh, well, all you guys just want to go and jump ship, well, go ahead and jump ship. We don't care. We're going to ride or die. We're going to be here. That's like sitting there telling the motherfuckers, like, hey, motherfucker, we're going to go and jump off a goddamn bridge. And if you don't fucking follow behind us, you're a bitch. We have every right to question every move that is made by this team because it is not being understood how we go from 12-4 to 7-9 to 1-7 and possibly ending the season 1-15. And that's a worse record than any of you Raider fans have seen before. Unless you're from the early 70s. We haven't seen a season like this before if we go 1-15. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid, expect more from your football team, and demand it. This is the Raider Critique. I'm signing out.